Well, it's our continuing coverage of the Anambra State governorship election live from Oka, the Anambra State capital. We still have loads of conversation more for you as to review the process. Collation is ongoing, but the center, the State Collation Center, as soon as it opens, we'll let you know. But for now, we're just following through what is being uploaded on IRF as those results make their way to the state capital in Oka. But we'll be back after this break. Join us again.
The Anambra Election Observation Hub that comprise of the following organizations: Yaga Africa, the Kuka Center, the International Press Center, the Center for Media and Society, CIMESO, the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, Elect Her, TAF Africa, supported by the European Union under the Support to Democratic Governance project, jointly deployed 711 citizens observers across the 21 local governments of the state. Nevertheless, voters conducted themselves in a peaceful and orderly manner, reflecting a commendable level of political maturity and commitment to democratic principles. While it is too premature to provide exact turnout rates, our preliminary observation from the partners indicate low voter turnout across local government areas and several local government areas. And as noted in all the pre-election statements that each partner has issued, the apathy witnessed in the build-up to the election appears to have manifested in low turnout on election day.
Welcome back. Our continuing coverage of the Anambra State governorship election is not over. They say until it's over. The reason is because INEC has not announced the final result of the election, and the collation center gets yet to open. Channels Television is on ground live right here, which was where we're broadcasting from as far as this election is concerned. So we'll get to that collation center, the state collation center, as soon as it opens, to bring you live update as proceedings kick off right there. But for now, we're reviewing the entire process, looking at all the stakeholders, because it's a multi-stakeholder exercise. Election is a big deal. There are so many moving parts, and one of those parts is security. We have with us right here in our studio in Anambra the Commissioner of Police in charge of this election, CP Abayomi. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me again.
And we may have you again. I also have Mr. Jake Pele, the founder of TAF Africa. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
So, CP, you know, there are so many. It appears what everybody has agreed about on this particular election is that it's been peaceful. So kudos to the Nigerian police force. Also, when you do well, we will praise you. And this is one of those moments we commend your effort. Tell us what it took to get here. We also talk about the issue of the Dunbar deployment and some of the implications. But what did you observe from a policing point of view as far as this election is concerned?
Well, thank you very much for that. You could see me beaming with smiles, because these are actually what we're expecting. And simply, I would just summarize these as intentional outcomes. It took 6 months of planning, strategic planning, to get to where we are today. So what we have seen today is not by chance. These are elements of planning and collaboration with all stakeholders, including INEC. And that is what has brought us to where we are today. So simply put, is strategic planning.
So was there any incident anywhere, no matter how minor?
Despite the fact that there's always a margin of error of 0.5 points or something, generally there is nothing to say that this election has not been peaceful, because there has been almost zero level of incident that was reported. And looking at the turnout again, by the time the full statistics, the full figures are out, this will definitely be the election with the highest number of turnout in the history of Anambra State.
Do you think this peaceful, this peace that we're celebrating, or this outcome we're celebrating, is based on the effort of the police, or just the docility? Let me use that word carefully. They're just the people not just being interested as much as they should be? Because there were complaints to the fact that there were a lot of police presence in the city centers, and some other places there were not that much presence, but they didn't record that maybe any form of incident.
You see, just as I've said, what we are seeing now, these are intentional outcomes. We planned for it to be like this, and that's why we are having it, or we are getting this result. We put in certain measures in place to make sure that we arrive at this point we are, and that is why we are at this point we are. And this happened based on strategic planning, collaboration with stakeholders, including INEC and all the security agencies. We marshal out plan that we want to achieve this, and for us to achieve this...
You've talked about plan. You've mentioned plan a couple of times. What was the plan?
The plan is to have a peaceful election. And for that to happen, we needed to put certain things in place. We started putting these things in place physically like 3 months ago, including the clearance of the pre-election clearance operation we had that ended just 1 or 2 days to the election. We were able to identify those that will cause problem, and we removed them from circulation, and that's why we are here. The citizens saw this, they felt, not only seeing, they felt the atmosphere of peace, and that's why we saw a lot of people coming out to vote. And again, that's the reason why we have recorded close to 0 negative incidents in any polling unit.
So what was the strategy here? Was it, for me to use the word, for lack of any word that I'm trying to remember, was it about over-militarization, show of force with 45,000, or it was something else? Because if you did your work, first, we have commended you, and because we want to see how we can build on what has happened here in subsequent elections, so that we get to an election where we don't even need to deploy as much as this is.
Well, the truth is, based on, because each time people try to make this comparison, that in some climes they even go for election on working days, nothing, you don't know you don't know where the election is taking place. These are 2 different conditions. Certain indices or variables make certain things to happen. And talking about what are the plans, I will just refer you to what we call the path triangle. That's the problem analysis triangle. For you to achieve a desired result, because when it comes to issue of incidents, there is the perpetrator, there is the offender, then there is also the guidance. There is the victim, there is the perpetrator, and there is the introduction of guidance. And we have been able to do 2 things here. We've introduced more guardianship. Those are the police security forces that were visible. And just as you have stated, these officers were visible in particular areas where we know that threat could come up. And just as you have said, they were less visible in some areas because we were not expecting certain things in those areas. Then coming about the perpetrators, another thing we have been able to do, we have been able to remove the perpetrators from circulation. So the victims, or the potential victims, the electorate are there. The perpetrators that will come and disrupt, they have been removed. There is no way, through lawful means, so there is no way they could come and disrupt the elections. Some of the things they would have used to disrupt the elections have been recovered and taken away from them. And that is what we are seeing today. Maybe off camera, I might share some with you, but in the public, we want to keep it to ourselves.
It sounds brilliant. It sounds to me like intelligence-driven policing. That's what it rings in my head. But before I go to Mr. Afele, Is there a reason for 45,000?
You see, this issue of 45,000, I gave these figures last week during a meeting at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. That was the initial plan. Along the way, you know, data is not static. It could go up, it could go down. Along the way, other security agencies came up with their strengths, which we added, which you have seen during the course of this election. So it is even beyond the 45 you are talking about. And I'll tell you the reason for this. We have over 5,720 polling units. And under the INEC guidelines, we should have at least 3 police officers in each polling unit. Calculate times 5,720 by 3, you get the figure. Then the number of collation centers that we have again in the states, calculate that. We have to secure all these collation centers. Then that's from the ward level before you get to the local government level, then before the state level. Then again, we have several states bordering Anambra State. We needed to check the inflow, both things coming in and going out, at least 1 week before the election. We have strategic police locations with men in all these places. Again, we have to provide adequate security for the ad hoc staff. INEC has deployed thousands of staff to carry out this election. We have to protect all these people. And based on that, we need a significant number of officers to do this. And thank God it has worked, and those are the results we are seeing.
Great points. Great. Mr. Pele, the way you've been smiling sounds like you're impressed with what you're hearing. Maybe let me allow you just say what's on your mind.
Well, I'm particularly impressed, and congratulations, CP. It's relatively peaceful, and I must commend your men that I met, some of them that I met. They were very cordial and professional. I remember going out, I told you, I went out, you know, just to look at the movement, the vehicular movement and all that. And many of them I met at the checking point without even introducing myself. The moment they saw this, they just opened, we passed. So that's commendable. However, I still have problems with the number of security police men that we deploy in an election. Some of those numbers can be very intimidating. And you look at the taxpayers' money that is spent in that huge number. Because you won't tell me that allowances were not paid. You will not tell me that they were not fed. You will not tell me that they were not inconvenienced. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying the time has come for us to begin to see how we can trim the number and still get the result that we got today. I think this is one of the most off-cycle elections that's been peaceful. Two things played out in this election, apart from, and PC, I don't agree with you when you say the voter turnout is good. Voter turnout is not good. I'm nitty-gritty in observing this election.
Maybe it's not, you know, CP's assessment is, was it peaceful?
From the security point, yes.
It's not turnout that is
yeah. I was going to tell him, please don't go there. Let's focus on your strength, you know. Truth be told, I don't know whatever strategy you used, please share it with other CPs in the forthcoming off-cycle election, because it worked, you know. But my criticism about number is not particular to this election, it's general. The number of security operatives we deploy in a given election is too much and too expensive. Can we begin to do and implement strategies that will limit this number, yet we get even better results that we're getting today?
Is it a police problem or a citizen's problem to be able to be peaceful so that police doesn't deploy as heavy as it should?
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. It is not police problem. It is the citizens. There's no doubt. But sometimes, Jeff, these issues are exaggerated sometimes, and I'm not being very relative to your situation. I'm talking about generally, you know. Take for instance, there was no presence of police in River State local government election, and yet there were very few incidences. So it shows me that election can actually be managed with limited security implication, and you get good results. You will not tell me, CP, that all the 45,000 or 50,000 you deployed, all of them participated, all of them were part of this. Some of them were probably sitting somewhere sleeping.
No, that's
okay. But no, I have commended you. I have commended you. Very impressive. And I can tell you, not because you're here, one of the most peaceful recent election that.
Okay, let me come back to CP. So CP here, I guess, is trying to say is that I don't think anybody can take it away. Police did a great job in this election.
Yes.
I'm here, I've seen,
yes,
at least for myself. We've heard the reports, we've not heard anything. So that's why I was asking. It sounds to me like more of intelligence-driven policing. But, you know, we're using state resources to be able to put this together to make sure we have this peaceful exercise. That's why I threw in to say, is it a police problem or a citizen's problem? But is there a sense in when people raise objection to significant deployment of police for off-cycle election? Do you see what they are saying?
You see, the thing is, most of these comments are coming from the point of view or the knowledge that people making this have. We are inside. We know what it is. The interest during local government election is completely different from interest in a governorship election. The same thing, the interest in the House of Assembly election is completely different from National Assembly election, and so forth like that. The interest during general election is different from the interest during off-cycle election. Just like the interest during midterm election in the US is different from the interest during the general election. Now, this is an off-cycle election. It's happening only in one state. Almost everybody in Nigeria is interested in off-cycle elections. People come in from different parts of the country to come and vote in off-cycle elections. People come in from different parts of the country because of certain interests they have in off-cycle election, because that's the only election taking place. Unlike general election, where everybody will face their particular state where they are interested in, it's like nobody moves from state A to state B during general election. But in off-cycle elections, it's not like that. So that means the...
So are you saying there's more danger in off-cycle election?
I'm not in
maybe that's not the right word.
Say that.
Maybe that's the right word. That's the wrong word I wanted to say. But I'm trying to make sense, trying to understand what you're saying, because you're talking about convergence of interest. Because you're using confluences to make your decision. That if it's a general election, so the energy of chaos is distributed, so it's easy to manage. But when it's off-cycle election, like one election, aggregated chaos can be very terrifying, and so you need that level of mobilization. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. And doing this mobilization, certain funds were spent, but it's not as huge as what people think, because there is no Anambra State the hotel rooms in Anambra State I don't think they are up to 5,000 rooms. So that means all the officers that are here have not been lodged in a hotel. By our training, we stay in camps. As a commissioner of police, I sleep on the road. That's by our training. So we sleep in camps, we sleep in schools, we sleep in any type of building. Whether you come for election or not, your monthly salary will still be paid, and it is still being paid. You know, but when you go out for special duties, there are certain allowances that you are entitled to. This is as a result of, instead of feeding you, it's called ration, dry ration. It is monetized. It is not something huge. Maybe it's going to be for 3, 4, 5 days.
All right, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Pele. We'll segue to that now. But I want to get a thought from him, then I'll come to you. So, but just hold that so you don't forget, so you build from there. The election is not over, so let's be clear. In fact, knowing how politics works, this is the election is really happening right now. This is where the real election happens. The people have done theirs, then the politicians will now do theirs. Whether we like it or not, it happens. So what is the police doing to make sure that, look, whatever happened at the polling unit this morning stays that way throughout the process?
You see, we have moved to another security layer for the coalition period at the world level. We have moved into another security layer, the same set of officers with another group, now more combatants, armed. They are protecting the coalition process. And in every coalition centers, we have armed group as we speak that are physically there to make sure that nothing happens to those ballots. Transportation of those results again from the coalition centers at the world level to local government is another layer again. Coming to the state capital is another layer. Post-election period, celebration time, the first 2 or 3 days, that is another layer of protection again. So all this, we have mapped out the strategy we are going to use, and from the beginning, right from 6 a.m., when all the material started leaving the rack to the polling units, and up to now, everything is working as we expect it to be.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Pele, we're wrapping up. So you have the last say.
Yeah, so let me weigh in on what CP has been saying. CP, we don't want you inconvenience. We don't want you to sleep on the road.
No, it's our job. We are not complaining about that.
If it's not
that's what we are trained to do.
If we trim down the entire architecture, then people will be more comfortable. That's one. Number two, I want to say that maybe because you don't want to say it on air, the strategy of getting the vigilante out of this process worked for you.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
I
know you don't want to say that. I can say it.
I can say it. It's part of it. We made a statement that
was
we
brilliant.
don't want them to be part of it.
You've always maintained that
yes,
position.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was very brilliant. That was very brilliant. Secondly, while we also pat you on the back, we want to pat on the back of the Anambra people that decided that they wanted peace. They played a critical role in the peace, in the overall peace that you have achieved.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, exactly. But I also, another concern, some of the things, there was something you kept saying about taking out some people in order to maintain peace. I hope their rights were not violated.
Taking out some people legally out of circulation.
Yeah, he said that.
They were arrested, they have been prosecuted, exhibits have been recovered.
You know, CP, I'm enjoying what is going on. You know what is going on? We are auditing the process.
Exactly.
So it's not anything personal.
Their human right is very important.
We're auditing the process. So your last thought, Mr.
Yeah, like I said, their human right is very important. And I want to see this fantastic, you kept using word strategy. Strategy is better than energy. I will relate the numbers that we're deploying as energy. Let us move from the point of energy to actually strategic implementation. With strategic implementation, you trim. I have a project all over the country. I have very limited staff that I know can do the job. I don't need to go and hire the entire country. Sorry, Prissy. Sorry. I don't need to go and hire the entire country to do the job I know that 5 people can do.
No problem.
So you see, we will keep harping on you and the IG.
Society, so we'll keep
harping on you and the IG to trim down the number.
Yes,
sometimes those numbers can be so intimidating that it creates more chaos. But congratulations, you have done extremely well. Teach other commissioner of police what you have done. Let them this strategy. And let's have this strategy across board. Congrats.
More elections are coming next year and before the big one in 2027. CP Abayomi Shogunle, Commissioner of Police in charge of the election, congratulations so far. We hope we congratulate you in the entire process because it's still on. Thank you so much for the work. You and your men who have made huge sacrifice because sometimes you don't get your flowers, but we give you your flowers.
Exactly.
To say thank you for your service. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me also add, I'm also the CP election planning, monitoring, and evaluation for the whole federation.
Oh,
so
wow.
Everything election in Nigeria
So
at
that's,
the moment.
you people have your.
I didn't know. There was a time that I trained.
We're totally out of time.
Yeah, there was a time that I trained but I didn't see you then. Maybe.
Mr. Pele, we're totally out of time.
I know.
This relationship is good. Jacob Pele is the founder of TAF Africa. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for your service yet again. Thank you. We appreciate it.